that's so cool that y'all had that, you know, and we didn't think twice of it. It was like,
it was natural.
We brothers, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
Like, I never forget, and maybe Yusuf may not remember this, but it's weird. Don't ask me what I had for lunch yesterday. I can't remember, but I have vivid memories of being as young as like 2 and 3 years old. And I remember the time I met Yusuf first. I think you and Naeem were out somewhere. Idris was a baby. Idris is a huge baby, by the way.
Yeah,
he would remember the pictures.
Yeah, exactly. Idris was huge.
Idris was, you know, he was eating or something like that. He don't remember. But I remember my mom came over and visited your mom, and Yusuf was there, and you was playing back in the day. I don't know if you remember Hot Wheels cars was like the hot thing, and then you put them underwater and they changed colors. So he had one of those cars that changed. I never seen it before. Like, that's so cool. And Yusuf was this kind of clumsy, quirky dude, man, and like he ran into a wall the first time I met him, and then started laughing. I couldn't stop laughing. I must laugh like 2 minutes, yo. I was like, from that day on, yo, this is my brother, yo. Like, and to this day, you know, was that 1988 or something like that? Right. We've been boys since, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Going back to the early memories of the Eid, going to the movie theaters, man, I remember watching a movie during the middle of the movie. We have to stop and go pray. Go pray.
It was.
As a kid, you're mad because like the movie's hitting the climax. You're excited. Like, let's go.
You're missing out the good part.
You're watching a Lion King. You know, Scar's dropping Mufasa from the cliff, and time to pray.
Time to pray. Yeah, exactly.
God. But as you get older, you kind of appreciate it more because you're like, man, the discipline that our parents had at the drop of a fly. Now we're going to pray.
Yeah.
You know, but as a kid, you know, you're praying, you're in the parking lot, you're upset, you're seeing people looking at you, some people point, some people laughing.
Right, exactly. What are they doing over there? It's like, yo, it was definitely different, yo. But as you get older, you realize that those experiences kept you grounded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it just, I don't know, you had some type of structure in your life, yo.
Yeah, I also think it helps build the confidence as well. Like, if you can go do that while it's awkward, right? And people are looking at you. It will, you know, what else can't you handle, right? Like a lot of people get anxiety around just talking to people and meeting strangers for the first time.
Yeah. Exactly.
We was having to pray on the side of the road.
I know.
On the Jersey Turnpike.
On the Turnpike, right?
Yeah,
remember that?
People looked at you crazy.
Yeah.
But you understood, like, what you had to do. Like, your creator is bigger than anything that anybody, you know, was going to make you feel awkward or whatever. So, like, I think that helped build confidence, at least in me. You know,
for sure. I definitely feel like the confidence was there. And I mean just that, the confidence just to actually be able to talk to, like, anybody.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, just because of awkward interaction. If people can just come up to you and say, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, I'm praying. And they, oh, okay. Yeah. A lot of times it was like, oh, now they might have laughed at you, but they were like, all right, well, you praying. Like,
he's not a weirdo. He actually has a purpose. Like, there's a reason.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, you know, it's...
And on that same vein, like, I also think growing up in the masjid, being around so many different groups of people from all, when we got friends from all around the world, I sometimes forget like how big our network is. People from all around the world of different races, we all prayed together. You know what I'm saying? So that also, when we get out into the world as we become adults, we have no problem relating to other people.
Exactly.
I agree.
It don't matter what you look like, yo. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had those experiences, different languages, different food, just different cultures. You know, we've been very comfortable.
Our stomachs were definitely strong, yo.
All that spicy food.
All the spicy food, all the food, all the different foods, yo. Especially on Eid, though. Like, when they did the potluck and everybody cooked, yo, it was like...
You had grits,
the mix of
Pakistani food and Mediterranean food all in one pot.
Top it off with some dates.
But I feel like as in my adult years, like, I feel like me traveling the world, me being around like so many different people was great for me because like I can go to a place and I can adapt easily. And I feel like all of us, if we go anywhere, you could throw us anywhere, we're gonna adapt.
Yeah,
we can talk to them. We're not gonna be like, you know, like shy, sitting down. We're gonna be like, yo, how you doing? Like, you know, I'm in countries where I can't speak the language, but I'm moving my phone trying to figure out what to say, and I'm like, you know, I'm in Greek, Karimata. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, it's just, you know, we just kind of had that growing up, yo. Yeah. Just by being around so many different Muslims and from different races and.
Yeah, and a lot of that, we almost, at least for me, I feel like I took for granted until I got older and understood it. Like, this is just the norm.
I think as kids, we all do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We take everything for granted. The stuff that I'm telling my kids now, I'm like, man,
I sound like my dad.
I sound just like my dad, yo. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we definitely take take it for granted.
In hindsight, just looking back, like we were eating different ethnic food before it was trendy or before it was cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, now millennials they tap into Indian food, Spanish food, Thai food, Peruvian food. But when we were younger, the stuff that we ate, people would look at us like we were crazy.
Yeah.
Y'all eating spicy Pakistani food?
Yeah. Eating couscous on a mat.
Right. Exactly. Right. Couscous show with lamb. Y'all remember having Indonesian food.
Right. Amazing
Malaysian food.
That was the spiciest
food.
Amazing food.
Just a quick sidebar on that. Like that was the spiciest food I've ever had in my life.
Spicy, yo.
Remember Abdul?
Yeah.
Like they knew, like we was all kind of greedy, right? We always had to eat. I was especially greedy as a kid. And he was like, "You want to try this?" And he just gave me a spoonful. I was like, "Oh, of course." Took a spoonful, and it didn't hit for it took maybe 10 or 15 seconds.
But you just kept eating.
Bruh, no, I didn't. I just had one bite. I was like, "It's pretty good." And I was wondering, why y'all snickering? Like, what's so funny? Bro, I was in the voodoo area, like with my head under the water, like for like a half hour. My ears were ringing. Spiciest food I ever had.
That's crazy.
So I had to put that out there. But yeah, we had some tough stomachs because we ate food from all different types of nationalities, and people from all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
But we definitely came from an era where now like all this stuff is accepted.
It's acceptable.
Yeah,
it's acceptable.
So like back to while we're here is just like to break it down how it really was.
Right.
Before the internet.
And in the late 80s, the early 90s, before the internet times, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, and again, there's a lot of it has been reflective, just in the last couple of years, and just realizing, like what our parents and just the whole community kind of did for us. Like, I grew up in the hillside of New Haven in the 80s and 90s, right? If anybody doesn't know, that was the crack era. It was a lot there was a lot of things going on, right? A lot of violence, a lot of a lot of things that were rough on a parent that's trying to bring up a child in a I guess a righteous manner, right? So like that was one of the reasons why my parents told me that why they homeschooled me, you know. And again, like you're a kid, you're like, man, I want to be like everybody else. Like they're going to school, they're doing all what, and I realized everything they did was to shelter us from what they saw in the world, which would harm us.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and one thing that always comes to mind is like I remember when I was 4 years old. I was be big into Legos, or we used to love Legos back in the day. That was like everything, right? And I remember building, a little spaceship, and I was 4 years old. I went to bring it to my mom. It was at night, and I just remember her throwing me on the ground, and the glass above their dresser just shattered. And that somebody shot through the house. They don't think they were shooting at us. It was just the neighborhood. It was just our neighborhood, right?
90s,
And then not even a week after that, all the Muslims from the community were on that street.
I remember that.
Yeah, I was at the house. Yeah. They came to that street and they was marching in front of the drug dealers and your D boys or whatever. Yeah. The brothers and the sisters out there holding heat.
I know. Because
that was just to show the solidarity, and they was gonna protect us. You know what I'm saying? So
for sure.
Shout out to our parents and the whole Muslim community for that, man. That just came to my mind. And I always thought it was cool when I go to your house. It was like, yo, y'all ordered Chinese food and they came. They wasn't delivering Chinese food. They wouldn't come. They was gonna get robbed or it was just a rough neighborhood. It was like, where y'all live? Arthur Street? Nah, we're not coming.
Right. Yeah. So when we first moved here, we lived on Quinnipiac. So it was crazy because you had Solar Green over there, the projects over there. We were like a couple
Quinnipiac was
over.
mixy. It was very mixy. Literally, it could be nice on this block. You literally go around the corner. You had Eastern Circle projects in the 90s, early 90s. That was, it was a different time, different era, man. It was rough over there, man.
Yeah.
Yo, what about that story? You always tell me when I think some kid took one of y'all bikes.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I was looking out the dining room window and I see this kid. He's running. He steals my bike and he runs off with my bike. He's running. Takes my bike. I scream, tell my dad, "Dad, someone stole my bike." So then my dad's like, "Come on, hop in the car." So we get in the car. My dad had this old, ugly station wagon, like the Michael Myers station wagon. So I'm like, maybe 5 or 6 years old. We pull up to the Eastern Circle projects in the 90s. A bunch of drug dealers around, some kids, some girls. And my dad said, "Which one of y'all punks got my son's bike?" They all said, pointed to the kid. My dad took the bike, put it in the car, and I was like, "Yo, my dad's like Superman, yo."
Yeah. Nah, but that's the PG version, yo.
Yeah, that's the PG version. You gotta tell the real version.
My dad had a rifle with him. That's why.
I left that part
out.
That's
why everybody was pointing to the kid.
I left that part out.
It was my dad had the rifle, yo. It was my dad wasn't playing, yo.
You couldn't do that in this day and age.
You couldn't do that.
On social media.
Exactly.
Media takeout.
Yeah, I left that part out.
On the kid.
pull out a gun on the kid.
Yo, but the thing was, it wasn't that my dad didn't know who took the bike.
Right.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was going after a kid. We was in the projects with a bunch of drug dealers and a bunch of dudes. And my dad was like, yo, which one of y'all took the bike, yo? And my dad came back with the bike. I was like, yo, you got it back?
Like that. Don't take his bike.
Yeah, for real, yo.
That just goes back to like how awesome our parents were. And again, like things we didn't understand. So for them, in Islam, we call them reverts, right? Because we believe everybody's born Muslim, with the idea there's only one God. But they were, they might be Christian or just whatever. They were out in the world and they saw the beauty of Islam and how it changed their lives. You know what I'm saying? So they just saw something. And for us, just to give context, like we're first generation born Muslims, right?
In America.
Right. And I'm sure a lot of people from our age group are like that because there was like a surge around that time. My dad came up through the Nation of Islam, and I don't want to go dig too deep into that because it's a whole nother story. But like he told me, like my dad had a lot of siblings and he was like the black sheep to question, what the status quo is. And like, this doesn't make sense. And then going through the Nation of Islam around that time when Malcolm X was alive. My dad's 81. Shout out to my dad, him looking like he's,
I know, right? 50, still riding a motorcycle and everything.
Yeah. But he came up through that era. So a lot of that stuff, I realized I benefited from that knowledge and being homeschooled, right? Because you think about the stuff they teach in school, it's a thin line between education and indoctrination. So he put a lot of that, like, not only about Islam, but really about understanding who we are as black people.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah.
So
I kind of wish my dad gave a little bit more on that, but he was like,
no, he did.
He did.
I felt like we were very young. We were ignorant. Like we were kids. Like we were literally joking everything. So my dad would try to educate us.
Yeah, you're right. We were silly. Yeah,
we were bad.
Right.
Mo was the worst. Mo was the silliest one.
Yeah.
So like my dad would try to sit us down because I mean back in the day when Roots came out, Roots was a big deal.
Yo, y'all used to laugh at every movie. That's one thing I remember.
So when Roots came out, my dad tried to sit us down as a family to watch Roots, and we would literally laugh when Kunta Kinte was getting beat, man. And we would laugh about it. Like, we would make jokes about it.
But we were kind of like the way it's like we could have made we was at that age. It was like everything was like a spoof, yo. You know what I mean? Like we made fun of it.
Yeah, seriously.
And it wasn't just now we're not gonna say just because that movie. It was
anything and everything. We made a joke out of it.
We made a joke out of it. You know what I mean? Like the Titanic, we made jokes about that. It was just that's just what we did.
Y'all was silly.
We were just silly, yo. You know what I mean? But you're right. He did.
And we were young. We made jokes about it. He said, I'm not trying no more, man. Y'all don't take this stuff serious.
Yeah, exactly. I remember he always say that.
We made jokes out of everything, man.
I can't take nothing serious. My dad always say that, yo.
But shout out to my pops, though. I remember my dad told us a story when he became Muslim in college. My dad was like 19, 20. He read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and he said it changed his life, man. Yeah. And that happens to a lot of people. A lot of people read that book, and it changes because Islam changed somebody like Malcolm X from a thug, a pimp, a drug dealer, a drug addict, to one of the most profound speakers of all time. Man. So
African American speakers on top of it. Yeah,
exactly, man. So that's some of the transformation that Islam could do for people. It gives you a blueprint. It gives you a foundation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Believing in a higher power, man. A lot of people, if you don't believe in a higher power, man, worshiping money.
Exactly.
Like the CEO of Bed Bath & Beyond jumped off a roof last week.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the stock went down. He's about to get caught, embezzling money.
Yeah.
He said, I'd rather die than be poor.
Yeah.
So, Islam gives us that foundation. Believe in a higher power, man. Believe in God, man. Give you that discipline.
It's a way of life.
It's a way of life.
Yeah. I think a lot of that stuff, it was just grounded in us because, that's all we knew.
Yeah.
But as we grow, especially you and I are both parents, you start to see how that translates into like our parents. They was trying to figure this stuff out. They didn't know.
They were doing
we
it
were
on the
kids.
fly.
We look up to our parents. It's like okay, they're the large humans. They know what's going on, right? But they were trying to figure it out. But they had they had that blueprint, man, and I think we benefited tremendously from it, especially when you look at some of our peers. I just think about like when we was we had the mass shit on George Street and just kids in the neighborhood would just gravitate to us because we ain't grow up rich by no means.
Exactly.
Right? We had each other. We had that love, man. We were abundant in that aspect, and in that brotherhood, I think is especially from as men, a lot of boys around our age, they gravitate to us because they saw that.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was just normal. I just thought everybody if you my brother, I got your back.
Right. Yeah.
But then as you realize, you meet people and you hear their stories, you're like, yo, a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
Right. people don't have that trust, and they might have been betrayed or whatever, or didn't grow up in that with love in their environment. So that was awesome to see, man.
I got a question though. Why do you think certain people just in Islam or in general like go astray off the straight path in life? Like, what do you think it is? Because I feel like everyone you grew up Muslim. We're taught certain principles and a foundation, but then people certain times kind of just go astray. What do you think? Do you think being deprived of not experiencing certain things can lead someone astray, or what do you think the reason is?
Well, I think at some point in our lives, like I think we all kind of got off of the path. You know what I mean? Like I think we all, and it comes with age, it comes with maturity, it comes with changes in your life. You know what I mean? Like I remember for a time, it was, I would say, I never stopped praying, but I wasn't consistent with my prayers. Right. You know what I mean? So there was a time, I want to say maybe like a year or two, where I was very inconsistent, and to this day I can't really tell you why. Like I was, I was working.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like trying to do this and that, and it's just like I was thinking about prayer. I just wasn't doing it. It was always on my mind, but it was like, oh man, I miss prayer. Oh man, I miss prayer. But it wasn't until my younger brother, shout out to Ismail, that he told me, he's like, y'all gotta start praying, man. Like, y'all gotta make sure y'all pray if y'all do anything. And our dad used to always say that if y'all don't do anything,
just make sure you pray.
Make sure you pray. You know what I mean? And then it took my younger brother to tell me that. Right. This was like this was before my daughter was born, so over 4 or 5 years ago.
Right.
Was on it.
Yeah.
5 times a day, make sure I got the app on my phone.
Now,
get that app. Now, that app is crazy.
Oh, no, it does. A lot of times I'm out.
Listen, man.
Being
that's a reminder, man. This is real, man.
I was in the gun range, right? And the drawer went off in the gun range, and I'm like trying to, because you can hit the volume button to turn. It was crazy.
Everybody look at you like,
did he just say Allahu Akbar at the gun range?
The thing is, the thing is, it's the deck. Everybody got their earmuffs on, so it wasn't that loud, and people were shooting, so it's not bad. But I mean, I've been in, like lawyers' offices and stuff like that, and I introduce myself while I'm at work,
right?
And it goes off, and I'm just like, it's that's not hilarious. To me, it's not embarrassing. It's just like I don't want people to look at it like, what are you doing? Like, what is that? Because it's loud.
It is.
You're like, oh,
it come out of nowhere. It don't even like, it just come out.
It just comes out. Like.